Well, she was affected by it. One of her.
So this is the latest video. Tell me what you think. I'm not going to talk much. I'm just going to go through where I believe you may come across any issues. The first one is where that van's turning. It's a very narrow road. It's a closed junction, so you need to be aware of what's going on the road, around the road, and where they're working. You can see the scaffolding from here. You can pause it and kind of zoom in, you'll see it. Anyway, let's see how we kind of get on. Look up the road bends around you. See the van, it's coming down. Look at the grey van. Look at the white car. Silver car.
Would you feel more comfortable in England than you clearly do? Having the Queen or not having the Queen makes no iota of difference to me.
Look at the post office van, the Royal Mail van.
The way you speak about it feels like it does. I believe it's a disgrace to have a monarchy that we are publicly funded.
If you can't fit in, don't go in. See the bus. Nice and slow, nice and easy. Stop if you need to.
Well, we could have a conversation about what else they bring to the country, let alone what they cost to the country. But I don't really want to go into all of that now.
Look at the end of the road, where the road is narrow. The obstructions are on your side. Be very careful how you deal with this. What's the speed limit of the road that you're on? Look at the speed limit of the road you're going on to. Again, look past the bus stop. Watch the Royal Mail van. Come back to your side of the road. He's going ahead, so he has priority over you. There's a white coloured car coming down the road, and there's a learner car, I believe, doing a Polo Park. Establish your vanishing points. She's waiting for me. She shouldn't be, but she is. That's the learner car referring to. I'm now going to pull up on my right. So I'm checking my mirrors. I can see a car behind me. I'm signalling, checking my blind spot. I'm going to come in at a very shallow angle. I'm watching both pedestrians. I'm going to stop just before this telegraph post. And I'm going to come to a gentle stop here. I'm going to keep my signal on for a moment so they can see what I'm doing. I can see the bloke, the man on my right. He's on the pavement, he's walking up. I'm going to let him get out of my way before I continue reversing. 2 spaces. Now there's a car behind me. I have enough space. So I'm now going to go in reverse.
It could be that same numbers every week type. It could be leaving it to fate with a lucky tip. It could be you. Don't miss tonight's Lotto Quadruple Roller. Play on app, online and in-store. Lotto.
If you have auto hold on, take it off. That noise you can hear is the BDS system kicking in. So what it's doing, it's telling me there's somebody in my blind spot and to be careful if I'm reversing. And the reason why it's beeping is because I have my signal on. I'm reversing, I'm staying reasonably close to the curb. The speed is very reasonable, it's walking pace. I'm now going to move off. I've checked all around. I've looked at my blind spots. I can see a car coming up the road and in front of me. I've checked my blind spot again. I'm going to move off. And the speed limit is 30. Can you see it changing? I'm already doing 18. That's reasonable.
From 11 a.m, price and participation may vary. Many people struggle with loose and missing teeth. Often their dentist has told them nothing can be done. Let the TDC team restore your teeth consultation today, visit smileytoday.co.uk.
I'm going to leave the radio on so this
With a
it doesn't get boring.
just around the corner, don't miss this week's Radio Times. It's a Euro special. Our guide to
Can you see him? He's going to come out. Be very careful. He's doing it now. I can see what's going on behind me. She's waited. See him doing a U-turn. Keep an eye on him. If you didn't see him, I did. I have a wide angle. I'm going to change this camera and get myself something a bit better so it shows a better field of vision. The speed limit is still 20. It hasn't changed. As I'm slowing down, I'm going to position correctly. I'm looking, it's safe. I can see anyone overtaking the bus and the car's waiting.
Joint winner, Good Housekeeping Institute Supermarket Burger Taste Test 2021.
TrustedPPE.co.uk, because a return to normal can't come soon enough. Order before 4 p.m. weekdays for next day delivery. Rated excellent on Trustpilot.
Sheila Fogarty on LBC.
Before I get back to your calls, let me just talk to Matthew Thompson, LBC senior reporter, about a story that emerged this morning. The government, it has been found at the High Court no less, acted unlawfully when Michael Gove awarded a £560,000 contract to a firm that's run by ex-colleagues of his and the Prime Minister's advisor Dominic Cummings, so ex-colleagues of both him and Dominic Cummings. Matthew Thompson, tell us more.
It's an extraordinary story, really.
I'm sure you can see the van. I can. Adapt your speed.
Handing out of lucrative COVID contracts in March last year.
Now, as we go to the end of this road, the road narrows. We have two sets of lights, one after the other. It's immediately after. So, as I go to the end of this road, there's two lanes. There's one where this white car is, the small one, and there's one where the big white Jeep is. So the lane that I need, I'm going to turn right at these traffic lights. I need this lane that I'm in now. The car on the left, the Jeep on the left, is turning left at the lights. I am going to turn left at these lights. When I turn left, there are two lanes. If I'm going to go ahead at the traffic lights, so I'm going to turn right here, I'm following a sign for Pudsey. But then if I'm going to take the immediate left, I'm going to go into the left-hand side lane. If I'm going to turn right and follow the road ahead, I'm then going to remain in the lane on the right. The reason for that is if I remain in the lane on the left, the lane on the left filters to the left. So the second traffic light will remain on red, but the filter left will come on. So if I'm wanting to go ahead and I stay in lane 1, that filters to turn left. When the filter is on, I'll be prohibiting traffic moving. So really, it's poor planning. And you'll see it. As we turn, you'll see it. I'm not signalling yet. I'm quite far back from the junction yet. So I'm going to hold back yet. And now I'll start my routine off. And you can see the filter coming on for turning right. And you'll see where the white Range Rover is. He's in lane 2. So I'm going to now go into lane 1 because the light's gone green, and I'm going to follow the road ahead. Now, if that light was on red and the filter left was on, I would be blocking traffic. So it's very important that you look at your sat nav and you establish where you are going.
And the decision to award the contract was not due to any personal or professional connections. Now, that is strictly true, Sheila. The government does, the judge does accept that. But what the judge quite clearly says is nothing was done, or not enough was done, by the government to dispel any notions that there may well have
I'm
been
now
bias
following the
or
sign for
apparent
Leeds,
bias in the award of
A65.
this contract.
Thanks, Matthew. And also, the organisation themselves, Public First, said the company was deeply proud of the work we did in the early stages of the pandemic, which helped save lives. We've been talking this hour, and it's going to kind of continue into the next hour too. Two very different stories that both beg questions about how you feel about your country. At 3, we're going to talk about Gareth Southgate's letter that he's written. I'll go through some of the. I won't read all of it because it's quite long, but I'll go through some of the key points.
So this roundabout we are approaching,
just after the news at 3.
this roundabout
It's
is a
basically
control
love letter to
roundabout.
his country, and it's
It's
also
controlled by
a
traffic
defence.
lights.
Towards the end of the
Now
letter,
it's
a
part
defence
controlled,
of players,
and you'll see
self-management.
which sides are controlled.
Not just
When we
sticking to
turn
football,
left,
but they have
our
positions
traffic light will
of
be green.
influence
On the
they have
opposite side,
people's
the
attention,
traffic lights
and that they should
will be
use that
red.
attention and those
Forgive me, this is a
positions
fully controlled
responsibly and respectfully,
with traffic
towards
lights.
their country,
Sorry, I was mixed up with the
towards others.
under
And
the
at the same
roundabout.
time, we have a
So
story
this
where
one,
the
it's
Education
completely
Secretary,
controlled by
John
traffic
Williamson,
lights. So when your
was
light is
pointed
green,
into a
you can
situation
go. Unless there's an
where
emergency
very
vehicle coming
arguably
through, you
he
continue
has
on
no
your path,
particular-
making sure it's
but
safe to
he
go.
can speak on
You'll
whatever
see that
he
I've
wants
kept
to
this
speak,
little
of
bit
course,
clear.
but it's not
There's a filling
really,
station here, a petrol
his place
station,
to be
and it's
telling
important that you're not
students
blocking
in a
anyone that wants to
particular
go.
common room
So I'll get
at
my
a
signal on
particular
here.
Oxford college,
I know the
in
traffic
this
light's
case,
green. I can't see anybody coming across.
whether they should or shouldn't have a portrait of the
It
Queen.
went amber. I went over the line, so I carried on.
Portrait of the Queen put on the wall in 2013, I think it was, and a new batch of students has decided years down the line that they don't wish to have it in case.
I'm watching the dude
it
in the
were to
high-vis.
offend people
The
on
speed limit here is
grounds of
30.
The monarchy's connection to colonialism. We've had a message, a text in from Adele, who listened to the programme on a
He's
regular
coming over
basis,
the line.
making a
I'm going to
point.
move to the
She
left to
says,
accommodate him.
Has anyone mentioned the fact that the Queen is actually the monarch who oversaw the end of the British Empire and created the Commonwealth, says Adele. But you've been telling me, A, what you think about the removal of the portrait, whether you have any views on or any feelings about the removal of the portrait, but also what the Queen's position is or role is in your understanding of Britishness and British values. Mal has called from Bransbury. Hello, Mal. May, apologies, I've called you by the wrong name. M-A-I, not M-A-L. Hello, May.
Hi, it's May.
Yeah, hi, sorry, apologies.
No worries. Hi, Sheila. First time call you, I think. No worries. I was just, this is really funny. I find it funny because it reminds me of a story. I lived in Syria for 8 years. I was a student, and until before 2013. And in this house, we lived in a shared house with students in the old city. There was a very big picture of the president, Al-Assad. Somebody put it there before I moved into the house. And we didn't like it, to be honest. But I lived in that house for 8 years, but a lot of students came and left and each one they found it really funny, and it was in the yard. We couldn't remove it, we couldn't even talk about it because it was really very dangerous.
It's a very narrow road.
To even talk about it. So this is Syria. But now
It's
we are
now
in England.
one way when we turn right here.
Is Britain losing its democracy? People cannot do whatever they want in their spaces or houses or, you know?
So do you agree? Do you agree with Will Hutton?
William says
I don't know if she is.
Do you think it is sinister?
Well, I do, and I think people need to.
Okay. I reversed back because I wasn't sure. I think I had a sneaky feeling she reversed him back and then she got a bit fed up. It is what it is. So I'm turning left here.
You understand what I mean?
I do.
It's a one-way road, but I position correctly. I'm looking both ways. I'm coming out very slow because my car's a little long, a little wide. I need to make sure I don't obstruct people unnecessarily.
The Queen cares about this, to be honest.
I'm certain.
Speed limit here is 30.
Taking freedom from people. I came to this country and I am happy to live in this country because I can speak in a free way, and I'm really amazed by this. But this is just turning into Syria, turning to the Middle East, turning to Korea. So what is next now?
Well,
that's what I think.
Well, it's a really important warning, May. Thank you, May in Bransbury. I mean, I kind of made a point, but not as well as May just did there, when I talked about Iran. You know, if this was the Iranian regime banning students from taking down a picture of the Ayatollah or worse.
Now the
still,
speed limit has
being
increased.
still
I'm
arrested
adapting my speed accordingly.
in some way with it, if they did it. You know, we'd be like, oh, thank God we don't live in a country like that. Well, this is shades off. I mean, it's the thin end of that wedge, but it's shades off. Thank you, May. And Dwayne has called from Isha. Hello, Dwayne.
Hello, Sheila.
You do have a picture of the green.
They've been on green for a long time, so I've adapted my speed accordingly. There we are.
On my coffee table, I have the Jubilee album size book, 12
I've had to stop in a cycle box. Why have I had to stop there? Because I had to brake reasonably hard. And to stop myself going over the line, I've stopped at the second line. It's legit, you can do. Just looking for a cyclist, it isn't one I'm going to continue.
Educate from history. And,
Speed limit is 40. These lights don't change unless there's somebody on the right hand side that's approaching from the train station. So these are timed with sensors at the top. So there's a sensor at the top of the traffic lights on the right, and that sensor only trips when there's a car waiting there. Otherwise, them lights are continuously on green. Nobody crosses here. It's a very quiet area in terms of pedestrian traffic. I know I need better image stabilizing camera. I'm going to change this for a GoPro very soon, so I'm just waiting for some time so I can go home and get some things sorted and improve the quality of the videos. I know it's shaking, I know it's just a cheap stand I picked up from a shop. Soon it'll be 8K. I've got some decent equipment, I just need time to install it in the car.
About what happened at Amritsar, without a doubt.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that was not Britain's finest hour. Yeah, yes, right. But all of the
He was coming rather fast.
Manoeuvring was saying is, we want our environment not to have a portrait of the monarch in it. That's the environment we want to live in. It's not a rejection per se of the Queen. It's an understanding of the feeling in that environment. It's the difference between your kid just going to school to learn and your kid going to school to...
Now that's a crossing. It's probably been triggered. It's a very busy crossing. Also, can you... Yep, we can see the car there.
No, I'm saying, you're saying it's like...
That's why I've reduced my speed. It's a busy area. There's a lot going on here, especially when they're turning right from the road on the left. Because it's a dual carriageway. Sometimes what they've got to do, they've got to stop in the middle. And when they're stopping in the middle, if it's a small vehicle, no problem, they'll get through. But if it's a larger vehicle, the back of his vehicle will kind of stay in your lane. If it is, there's nothing you can do. If you can't go past him, I'd advise you to stop. If you can get past him and it's safe to do so, continue, but drop your speed. Also, joggers on here, there'll be social distancing. That means they'll be fine. We're watching him opening his doors. Well, ease off my gas a little. Give him a look, that's fine. Just to give him an opportunity to kind of get into his car.
Need to start turning off the tap when it comes to the monetary policy support we've been providing. Was eat out to help out a good idea? Well, I think it was important in providing a giddy up to the economy.
I'm now going to turn left at these lights.
I think the Chancellor's played a blinder.
I'm paying a lot more attention to the doorman on the left. Why? Because there's a cycle lane. Leeds is very cycle friendly, so make sure you're looking in your mirrors and you're looking out for these. They're the cyclists there, the cyclists. And I'll just look over to my right, make sure nobody's coming through the junction. And they're not.
Morrison's. Majority of stores and online subject to availability.
With more choice than ever on meerkat meals, this menu can take us to even more places. How about a burger? Okay.
I'm now going to turn left at these traffic lights here. If you're in a manual car, it's a hill start. If you're in an auto, you won't struggle as long as you stop the car. As long as the car stops, engage your auto hold, and that's fine. If you're in a manual car and you have auto hold, so if it's a car that's 2017 onwards, stick it on and you're fine. As I'm going around the corner, I'm looking past the post box, past the van with the flashing strobe. Now the speed limit changes here because there's a school. So my speed limit is reasonable for the area that I'm in. Nobody likes speed bumps. However, they're normally near schools. I can see the Mini. Can you? He's overtaking the bus. The end of the road for these side streets are just past these parked vehicles. So be careful as you're travelling up this road. It's not where the bushes are. If you look at the floor markings, it's after where the cars finish. Quite obvious why. Need to watch out for them, especially the ones coming past the white car that's parked. So he's been there before me, he's going to come through like that. I'm watching the white coloured car and she's coming through. I'm going to let her come through. Now it's my turn, the black car will wait. Although it's my priority there because on my side of the road there isn't an obstruction. If he's committed, he's committed. So now I'm going to go ahead at this roundabout. This is one of the sort of hot spots of failing a driving test in Horsforth. For obvious reasons really. It's a small roundabout, it's a very compact roundabout, a very busy one. Now do I signal right here? I do. You can justify that to yourself. I'm looking at the cars on the right, making sure none of them are turning. And they're not. And then I'll carry on. Typically, you'd be asked to park anywhere on the left, not where the solid lines are. So you wouldn't park close to the solid white lines, you'd be obstructing traffic. Parking anywhere here is very reasonable. You could park anywhere here on the left where these bins are. At the next roundabout, I'm going to go ahead again. Now, as I'm approaching the roundabout, I can see it's a mini roundabout. If you can't see the sign from here, we're in trouble. And I'm looking to the right, I can see the little kid with his backpack on. Now I'm looking to the right, I'm looking as far as I can. And I can't see a car. And in front of me, he's going ahead. Nothing coming, I can safely carry on. Now this is where it gets a little busy. Why? There's two schools here, or three actually. And they all come out more or less at the same time. My speed is very reasonable. I'm doing 27 miles an hour. I'm going to go ahead at this roundabout. You can see the BMW signalling, the Audi signalling. Anyone coming from that side, you must give way to if you're going ahead. And if you don't know that, you're taking lessons with the wrong person. So I'm watching him just in case I forgot to signal. And that seems okay. And I'm watching the person that's just pushed the button for the crossing. Looks safe, I'm going to continue. Traffic's accumulating accumulating. I'm adjusting my speed accordingly. I'm also making sure that I'm not obstructing any junction. I'm looking in my mirrors because it's compact and I'm going to go around the red car. You'll see when I stopped, I kept the junction open.
Have you read, I mean, you obviously know a lot of it anyway, but for those who haven't, have you read the book by a friend of mine actually, Anita Armand and William Dalrymple about the Cohen trial?
Yes, I have.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah,
It's brilliant. I mean, this is the kind of history that I think is forgotten. It's not spoken about, it's not acknowledged, let alone apologies made. And I'm not saying apologise for a diamond. It's kind of a figurehead of the whole of that Maharajaship and that, you know, the Punjabis were renowned because it was the last area of India that had not been taken over by the British.
But there are all there are still parts of the Anglo-Irish story for all of the progress we've made and that fabulous time when the Queen spoke at Dublin Castle and, you know, the moves,
So I'm turning left at these traffic lights. You'll see the hatch markings there on the right. Sometimes if I'm turning right at this junction, I'll go onto the hatch marking, then move back into my lane on the right if I'm turning right. It's something you need to consider while you're driving.
The fact is, because Ireland is so close to us, you are so much further along. You are so much
Because we're
further along in your
siblings.
apologies
We're
and
siblings.
history.
We're siblings,
Exactly.
yeah.
Whereas we are our history. I mean, Maharaja Ranjit Singh's son was taken here and adopted by Queen Victoria at 10 years old. He was then not allowed to marry any Indians. His children weren't allowed to return to India in case they triggered anything that might make things difficult for the British.
So where does this leave you and the portrait story today?
I think I think in countries where you can't take the head of state's portrait off of the wall, that's not a country you want to be in.
I agree with you. It kind of depends which wall, doesn't it? You know, if it's the wall of the Foreign Office, I think that's a different matter. But if it's a private wall, you know.
Yeah, we need to remember it was on all the walls. It used to be, our monarch's picture used to be everywhere, you know, and it's slowly come down from places as we have had revolution. And that's part of evolving as a country.
Yeah, and it was weird when Prince Philip died. It was odd, wasn't it, to see, again, I was an admirer of his and the two of them, but, you know, it was strange and it felt very
I'm going to turn right
to see
at this junction here.
You know, his face was all over Piccadilly Circus, you know, the ad boards at Piccadilly Circus. It was on those digital ad boards on bus stops and, you know, his image was everywhere for a day or two, wasn't it? And I remember thinking, that's not what we do, is it?
That is not what we do, but fair enough. He, you know, he's for
but it's gone now.
He was a great man.
It was part of the morning,
Yeah, and I think the Queen has a very important part, but not being able to take a picture down makes us into a country that we do not want to be.
Into the Syria that May described, where people had a portrait in a house and they were too afraid to take it down for fear of retribution. Vicky, thank you, Vicky in Redbridge. Let's talk to Imran in Leicester. Hi, Imran.
Yeah, hi Sheila, how you doing?
Okay.
Yeah, so I just want to make 3 points. Number one is, I do think the students, they have a right to say what is in their common room. Look, we can't deny them that. There'll be things in there, pictures, ornaments, vases, tables, chairs, they're all going to want to have a say. But for me, it's a little bit like, what is stemming their hatred, or what is antagonising them towards the Queen? I know a lot of callers are coming in talking about colonialism and the past and all of that. But if we look at every struggle in the world right now, which stems from religion or culture or something, all of our ancestors at some point in time did something bad. And if we don't move forward, we have to acknowledge, we have to respect and learn from what went wrong. But if we don't move forward, we never will. And for me, it's a case of like, if people from this country went
I'm watching
to live
a
in
crossing
India,
as I turn.
and they were in a
There's
university
people
with
crossing,
kids
so I'm
with,
not going to go
peacefully
fast.
or Mahatma Gandhi.
So I've adjusted my speed as I was coming out. I'll make sure he gets on the opposite side like he's now, then I'll make sure it's clear, then continue.
If there'd be a backlash, I don't know.
Oh, well, okay, that was the wrong thing to say.
No, I just don't know yet. I know it's not a wrong thing to say. It's a good question. I don't know the answer to it.
I've got my hand on my horn just in case.
Right, so
That's fine.
You're blaming the Queen.
I look behind me, and the car that's behind me is a fair distance away. Just in case that, and this is why you normally reverse onto your driveways, not reverse off your driveways. I'm constantly checking my left and right door mirror with children running up and down the road. I'm going to go ahead at this junction where that blue car's coming out from. So to do that, I need to go from the left lane, as I'm doing now, and then slide into the lane furthest away from me. So as I turn to the left, I'm going to go where that van's coming out from, which you can't see yet. You'll see once I angle the car. So I'm going to turn where that cyclist is coming out from. I'm going to turn left here and then turn right. When I do turn left, I need to look at my light that turns right. When I turn left here and then turn right, more than likely it will go green for me. Now, if you are going to signal, you can do. I don't. I'm in the left lane, I'm turning left, and then I'm turning right.
Between the EU and the UK over the implementation of the Brexit deal in Northern Ireland have ended without agreement. Brexit Minister Lord Frost and European Commission Vice President Manoeuvring said they had a frank and honest discussion in London. The government has refused to rule out a unilateral delay of the implementation of new export checks. But Mr Šefčovič has warned the UK risks.
So I'm watching my traffic lights.
If the UK were to take further unilateral action over the coming weeks, the EU will not be shy in acting swiftly, firmly, and resolutely to ensure that the UK abides by its international law obligations.
Labour has called on the government to boost spending to help children in England catch up on lost learning.
And mine should go green like they have now. So I'm looking at my next traffic lights, and they are green. You can see them now. I'm going to take the next road on the right. I'm going to go into the hatch marking because it's necessary. I want to avoid obstructing traffic. I'm scanning the junction.
They'll face more significant sanctions if they try to break away again. And the double Olympic champion Helen Glover has been named as part of Great Britain's rowing squad for next month's Tokyo Games. The 34-year-old who won half the silver medalist Holly Swan is returning to the sport after having children during a 4-year period away. The squad is made up of 37 Olympic debutants alongside 8 returning athletes. In the city,
My speed is between 15 and 20. The speed limit on this road is 20. I'm watching the taxi. He's going to reverse, he has to. He's a taxi driver. Look, he hasn't seen me yet. He has now. Now that the road is narrow, I've reduced my speed slightly. I can see the car. He's gone. What I did do there was I reduced my speed. As soon as you see an issue, adjust your speed and have a plan. I'm scanning the children as well. and you'll sense that my speed dropped to almost a crawl. Why did it drop to a crawl? Because there was a lot going on there. I'm looking in my mirrors, especially my rear view mirror. I can see what's going on. I'm going to turn right here. And that's for obvious reasons. As I turn down this road, it's probably one of the most busiest times. It's one of the reasons why I've made a film at this time, to replicate early mornings, late afternoon sort of thing. So you'll see that it's very busy now. The speed limit of this road is 20 now. You'll probably find almost 1,000 kids leaving at one time at some point. Again, I'm adjusting my speed accordingly. Speed limit is 20, I'm doing about 14. I can see the taxi man or whatever he is coming up the road, the cyclist there. I'm not going too fast. I can see the bus coming up the road. If you can't, we have an issue. So I'm now thinking, look, what's he doing? Is he coming up the road because I'm in his class? He's waiting for me, I'm waiting for him. Is he coming through? Nope, he's waiting there. So now I'm looking at the red van. Now I'm gonna have to stop. I can see the white bus, the coach, coming up the road. There's nothing else I can do, I've got to wait here. So I'm watching the coach turning right. I'm watching these three cars, especially the silver last one. There's nothing else I can do. I'm watching the cyclist at the bottom, and I'm hoping another bus doesn't come up the road. I can see a bus setting off in a second. I need to move from here. You'll see the bus as you go down, the white one. Can you see it? Now the blue bus is moving off and the black car's waiting. Now because I'm going down this road, I'm just going to scan the zebra crossing, make sure it's safe. There's people waiting there, but this car's waiting there. There's nothing else we can do but to carry on. And I got a weird look off the, I don't know who he was. I'm talking to myself in the car. So I'm looking down the road. I've got to give way to vehicles, oncoming vehicles. So I'm looking, is he setting off? Nope, he's not. I'm going to sneak through. He will probably move off at the same time. Now he's not because children are crossing. So now I'm going to keep my speed reasonable for where I am. I'm watching the kids on the left and the girl on the right. Now, if there's a bus coming up the road, I'd advise you to slow right down to a dead crawl. A dead crawl is just rolling the car forward. The reason for that is the bus cannot bend around the corners. So now I'll just adapt my speed for where I am. The speed limit is 30 now, but I'll adapt it and move a little bit more to the left so I can get a better view. Looks okay to me so far. But this is a bus route. Obviously we can see the buses up the road. I'm now going to turn right at the roundabout. So as I'm approaching the roundabout, I'm going to look at what where the soul sign is, where the two kids are on the right. I've got my signal on to turn right. I'm giving way to anyone on my right where that child is looked across. Now the white car's also turning, so I'm going to wait. Looks good, there's nothing coming. Glance to my left, go around the roundabout to the best of my ability and continue. I'm now going to go ahead at the second roundabout. I'm looking at the white car turning left. I'm looking at the big Jaguar with the one that's just signalling to come off the roundabout. Now I'm waiting for this car here that's turning right. D3 look like they're going ahead, so I'm going to control my car as I'm going ahead. Nice and easy. See what's happening, because if something did change, I'd have to stop my car. At the next roundabout, I'm going to go ahead and look at my positioning of my car. So I start from this side and I slowly pull my car to the left hand side of the road and keep my wheels straight. I'm looking to my right, I'm looking for a safe entry gap. At the moment, it looks busy. I've got my gap now. I'm going to check my mirrors, signal left here. Check my mirrors to come off the roundabout, and lastly my right door mirror as well. I'm looking at the zebra crossing. I'm looking at the taxi man. Always look at a taxi man. And now I'm going to find a safe place to park. Where that car's emerged from, where the fish and chip sign is, I'm going to park up just before the black car. So I'm going to reduce my speed gently while checking my mirrors first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my car in a little I'm going to signal once I'm halfway past. I've adapted my speed. I'm very gently going to come in behind this car. Nice and gentle. I'm going to come to a stop here. Into park. And that's that done. Well, thank you for watching.
Your test will last about 40 minutes, and you can take your instructor with you if you want. Before going out on the road, you'll do an eyesight check and be asked one safety question. You'll drive in various road and traffic conditions and drive independently for about 20 minutes. You'll need to follow directions, either from the examiner's sat-nav or a series of traffic signs. It doesn't matter if you go the wrong way or need to check where you're going. Driving safely is what counts. Your examiner will ask you another safety question while you're driving, such as showing how you'd wash the windscreen or turn on the heated rear window. You'll have to do one reversing manoeuvre. This could be parking in a bay. The examiner will ask you to either drive in and reverse out, or reverse in and drive out. Or you could be asked to do parallel parking at the side of the road. Or you might be asked to pull up on the right hand side of the road. You'll need to reverse for about 2 car lengths and then rejoin the traffic. You'll also do controlled stops to check that you can stop and move away safely. You might also be asked to do an emergency stop. At the end of the test, your examiner will tell you if you've passed and give you feedback. You'll only fail if you make 16 or more driving faults or any serious or dangerous faults. Found this useful? Then give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.